assessment was unfair, and it turns out in that same meeting, that was the one in which you informed the select board about the desire of the group at Martin Meadow Pond to work with the town to get it done. Under the law, if they make a donation to the town, it's tax deductible to them. That's a charitable, they don't have a liability at all, because any contribution to the town is fine. But as far as the legalities of dispersing the funds, it's a mess. It shouldn't be a mess because it should have been supervised. And why do I care? Well, suppose we have another project like this that we'd like to do. We'd like to be able to tell our donors that they're not at risk for an IRS audit, and we'd like to be able to tell our taxpayers that the funds are being properly stewarded. Now, you probably don't like to hear it. Are you gonna quit because I'm talking about it? Probably not. Is the treasurer, she was, had no officer position at the commission. I hired her, asked her to come clerk. She did, at a standard $50 wage. She did a good job. Sorry to lose her. But as far as her responsibility to us, as the treasurer, there's room for improvement.
As you know, Rob, she only's been on for a year
Well,
in that role. She can't go back at what happened 10, 15 years ago.
well, as custodian of the funds, I think she has to, and I think she did. And I think the reason she came back and said to me, there's no money in it, forget about it, we just gotta go forward and start new, is because someone around here told her that.
I showed you what my research found is going through the audits that are done
Right.
annually, and there was a balance, indicated annually by the auditors
Yes,
from 14, as far as I forgot what year it was that
well, you gave me from 2004 forward. We still don't have we still don't have the data from 1990.
I don't know where the audits
We're
are.
starting to go astray, well, because this.
Right,
started
right.
out-
So
this
what we were talking about is,
is appointing
people were
members.
quitting because of my attitude. I
Well,
think that's
I'm
the statement.
not even that, because we've heard discussion that we have people that are interested in joining
Yes,
the Conservation Commission.
yes,
Now, generally, as a board up here, we look to different boards for recommendations for people to be
Correct.
appointed. But if a board does not push any recommendation forward, then it's still our duty to appoint someone to that and fill that vacancy.
That's correct.
That is not up to any board
no, it's not our choice.
to say. That's this board's decision
Yes,
to appoint or not to appoint.
well,
So I would, personal opinion, I'm just one person on this board, is at the next commission meeting, that a recommendation for those positions be made and brought to this board so we can appoint someone to commission.
well, that was done 2 meetings ago. It was scheduled for the last meeting, and then Mr. Enos and Mr. Carr said they wanted to table it, and that was it.
So
And then furthermore, they said it was my fault, because I'm an abrasive person or whatever.
Yep,
You know.
Lucy?
Yeah, so I'd like to just step in here and say that it's my observation that the Conservation Commission did virtually nothing for many years, and apparently this problem is the result of that. And I think it's really disingenuous of you, Leo, to blame it on Rob, who is trying to do the right thing. He may be abrasive, he may be any number of those things, but I think we have to give him credit for coming in, trying to clean up something that was overlooked by people who should have been paying attention. So
I do give him credit for that.
What?
I do give him credit.
Yeah, so I wish you would also do a little bit of, take a little credit yourself for not paying attention during all those years, and when these reports weren't being cared for, the minutes weren't being taken, whatever went on, nobody was paying attention in this office, it appears. and now you are laying it all at his feet, and I think that is,
I'm not laying that on his feet.
yes, you are. You're saying
I'm
that's
saying
why
why
everybody's
people-
leaving the Conservation Commission, and maybe it is why, but maybe it's because he's holding their feet to the fire and you never did. Which you should have, because that's your job.
I'd like to comment also that if the more people are on the commission, the less weight my vote has. So if you're worried about me doing things,
Water it down.
yeah.
Well, again, that's just my opinion, that the commission itself should not withhold people that are interested in joining.
And
That's this board's decision on whether to appoint or not. We've always gone to the different boards and asked for their recommendations, because they're people that board has to work with. But a particular board should not be able to veto us appointing members. And that's my opinion as,
Or table.
as me.
so we spent $600 advertising. We've got 4 candidates who have written in, and we would love to be able to present them to you. And we are not by any way abrogating your privilege to do the appointment. You don't have to accept any of our recommendations, and we know that. That's why you're here.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Alan?
Yeah, I mean, I've watched government here for 25 years. I've been on boards, I've been on the budget committee, I've been on the zoning board, chairman of the zoning board, budget committee, master plan committee. And what'll happen with your volunteers, and I'm not saying that's what's happening here on your conservation commission, but you'll have volunteers up the ass until you have to ask them to work and show up regularly for meetings and they have to do something. They don't just smile and make it a social occasion. Then they all start to bail when the work comes out. I'm not saying that's what's happening, but it does happen. I watched a select board member quit because Murray Vassar and I started coming to meetings 20 years ago and asking questions. And when it got all done and they figured somebody's gonna, as Lucy says, hold their feet to the fire, one of them bailed. Well, he should have bailed because he didn't want to work, okay? It happens, you know? I'm agreeing with these two a little bit. I'm not, in the remission of the select board and keeping a handle on this for the last 10, 15 years. There's no excuse for it, for that, you know, for that money to go on missing and for the minutes and everything not to have been taken. We all know with our conservation commission was just a social club. Now, you got somebody, you got one, and apparently you got another one or two that will go out and do some field work and look at something, rather than just go to a meeting once in a while. Going to a meeting doesn't get anything done.
No, the meetings have actually been productive.
Yeah.
And I'd
They
like
could
to
be, they could be. but
Well, I haven't got any
in the past.
nominees, have you?
And I'd like to go on the
Or
record
tabled?
by saying that I have heard what you said, and I'm taking it to heart. And I think there's room for improvement on my part. So I'm not just sitting here saying, you know, you're wrong or anything like that. I'm saying I understand it's good to have criticism and feedback. And my feelings are for the town of Lancaster, the taxpayers, and the Conservation Commission, and I don't think it should be a tool that bludgeons the local people. I think it should be something that's useful for all of us and we can take advantage of. And if I'm standing in the way of that, I'd like to change myself a little bit to make it easier.
And I'll just say, and there's people that I've talked to before, said, I agree wholeheartedly with what you're saying, but and I tell them, it's your approach. And maybe that's, if you just try to approach things differently, I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying or doing,
Yeah.
it's just the approach. That's it.
Well, we know where we are, we know there's room for improvement,
There's
we
always
all
room for
wanna go
improvement
forward, so
everywhere.
just don't, let's not hold up appointments to the commission.
Yep, we'll work on that next month. Anything else? Motion to adjourn? All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Thank you, guys, appreciate it.